Good afternoon, traders. This is Christian from Tropic Trade Group, and this is your end of day market recap for Tuesday, January 14th. Well, some things to kind of definitely go over today. Today felt like a chutes and ladders type of day. Market climbed back this morning, then all of a sudden we kind of sold off for about 2, 3 hours. We regained some of those and basically got back to the open price, and then another shoot to the downside, which looked like it was some type of a sell program. So I'll talk a little bit about that and talk about where there was strong performance today and where there was not. Risk disclaimer in front of you: everything that we're going through is for information purposes only, not giving out any advice or recommendations. Please read the full risk disclaimer right there. So I have a some type of error in my spreadsheet, so I don't know why, but sometimes Bloomberg has that. So, a decent amount of things to kind of go over for the day. We'll start. I'll try to, again, I say this almost every video, but I try to make the video not too long today. But so a couple things today. By the way, no one really talking about the NFIB small business optimism today. That came in 105 versus 102. So interesting. A lot of businesses basically, hopeful that the new administration, so kind of interesting tone there to see that move up so much. When you hear so much about tariffs and oh my God, people, financial media has you so worried about the prospect of tariffs, which will be a bargaining chip. The small business optimism cranks out a really high reading, and this is what this looks like, by the way. Again, just starting with something a little bit different today, but this gets you back to where we were 2018 to 2019. Last few years, this has been really depressed. Small businesses have not seen this as a time to expand. Maybe that's beginning to change. So I'll kind of start with a little bit of a positive note there. The couple of things about the PPI report comes in less than expected, right? Who's coming up with these estimates, first of all? I find this so odd. I've talked about this. If you've been watching my end of day videos, you know that I've talked about this several times. Like, I don't know why they were looking for a 0.4. A 0.2 seems right, in line with what you would kind of think. And I'm not putting these numbers together, but I also don't know who is. I talked about this on Friday too. Who was putting out the jobs numbers that they were going to be horrible jobs numbers? Like, I just don't understand where these weird, wacky numbers are coming from. So it is what it is. We can't change that. We have to trade around that. I don't want to. I never talk about, like, I used to be on Twitter all the time. You'd hear the market's rigged, right? You don't you really can't care about that, right? There's always going to be something things that you can't control. We're in this, and I do these videos at the end of the day to talk about what you can control, right? And what's acting well, what's not acting well, right? It's a market of uncertainties. Every day we're trying to put together the market puzzle. We can't completely put that puzzle together on a daily basis to say, oh, geez, I figured this market out. But what we try to do is understand where the flows and where the market movements are going, and then we can kind of position ourselves, right, in order to be on the right side of the trade. That's what I basically try to do at these end of day videos for you, is just give you a sense of what happened and what seems to be acting very well. So let me finish this here with the CPI tomorrow. They're also looking for another hot number. So do I think this number is going to come in 0.4 tomorrow? No, I don't. It's probably somewhere to 0.2, 0.3. Again, I'm not an economist. I'm not crunching these numbers, but just logical, thinking. Right. And then, people look at the core, I don't even know the core. I don't even see on here, but, it's a CEI month over month number. So yeah, if the number comes in 0.3, the market probably has a knee jerk reaction, kind of like it had today, but we'll have to see some follow through. One of the things that stood out to me earlier, and again, this is boring, but I'm going to go over it anyway. But it's bonds. Like, bonds did not rally again today. So that's where why the market is kind of in a predicament. Do I think bonds should be due for a rally? I do, and I was surprised. Here is the action of TLT this morning. Here's the when the PPI number came out, and this for a minute was up about 0.5%. But there is so much selling pressure that is going on in U.S. Treasuries. There's no bond auctions this week, so you can't blame it on the bond auctions. But there's just, there's just a lot of selling that's going on in the Treasury market. Perhaps that, we have such a big you know, again, I don't want to go off tangent here, but when you think about how large the deficit is and how much the overall debt that we have, perhaps people are getting a little bit uncertain about holding this, the amount of debt that the U.S. has and how fiscally irresponsible we have. Now, again, you kind of have to be careful with this because, all this stimulus that has been provided over the last 4 years, right? That has kept the market afloat. That's been injecting a lot of liquidity into the market. So that goes away, and that's probably why yields are doing what they're doing, right? The markets do look ahead. They are forward looking. You're not going to get that same stimulus, right? Of just constant money that's been thrown into this market. And again, I don't want to get off too tangent, but it kind of just all these things kind of just make you think, right? So bottom line is we're back to these lows from April in TLT, and let's see if we can get some type of a bounce here, right? It remains to be seen. We're below the 5 period moving average, but certain stocks would probably really like that if that were to happen. But again, wasn't able to do it today on a lower than expected PPI. Maybe again, one other thing to note too is like it's maybe somebody's reading through the expectations and saying, hey, this still isn't good enough. So we'll see. We get the CPI report tomorrow. Where did I want to go to next with this market? So let's look at the chart of the SPY. Again, it seems like there's a lot of rotation that's going on under the hood. From yesterday's video, I talked a little bit more about agriculture, industrials, energy, of course, right? These are the things that are starting to act better. So this does not look particularly good. We had a nice bounce today, but bounced right into the 5 period moving average and just couldn't get through the first level of overhead supply. So does it mean like it's death to the market or anything like that? No, it just means that this market's having a tough time turning. But overall, there were some positive things. Let me tell you one positive thing that I saw today. It was the 4 week new highs versus new lows. Again, if you're a regular viewer of my video, I've been going on and on about how many stocks have been going down versus up, right? Take a look at this, right? This has been atrocious, right? I'm trying to think of different adjectives to describe this, but look at all the 4 week lows versus no 4 week new highs, right? As the market's been doing this. This has not been good. But finally today, and this chart's not updated for today, there's like a 1 day lag in it. But hey, finally, we had more ups than downs in terms of 4 week lows. Now, take a look at what areas went up versus down. And this was all, you could follow along in my midday note because I sort this by sector for you in a nice spreadsheet so you could see. But take a look. Obviously GEV, which there's a lot of retail traders watching this, including myself. I've been long this position, but what do you notice? A lot of names in here, right? You see some healthcare in there, Cigna, WST, CMI, transport name, JBL, which is a tech name, but 3M, EOG, STLD, RTX, ETR, CNC, EQT, right? Do you see some themes that are coming at you? There's a lot of value that is in there. A lot of energy, some conservative healthcare, even though overall healthcare looks bad. GE's in there, right? 3M, I mentioned that one already. So you've got more. So the things that are going up right now, right? And if you go back to my spreadsheet in here, now again, 1 day is not a trend, but look at value today. It was up about 0.8 of a percentage point, and growth was down today, 0.4 0.4 of a percentage point. And again, if you look at what did well today, the banks did very well today. Something that I wasn't really watching too much because I know that we've got bank earnings tomorrow, but this is starting to make a comeback. I wasn't going to start with this chart, but hey, maybe this is a false breakdown. Notice the VPOC taken out here in the KBE banking ETF. Also, it's tough to know what's going to happen here with JP Morgan. It really will depend. I joke around with this stuff all the time because you got to laugh a little bit. But like Jamie Dimon, you don't know if he's going to be his positive himself or if he's going to be negative. If you look at the reason why I mention this, because he really will move the JP Morgan earnings, like what he says about what he's feeling about the consumer. will drive the market. Because last quarter, he was pretty positive. He was pretty upbeat. Stock went up 4.4%. But sometimes you get this initial move in the morning when they report JP Morgan and the stock goes up on results, and then he comes on the conference call and says something negative, right? So it's a very tough stock. I'm not trading it, but I am long this in the TTG trend portfolio. I've been long JP Morgan because I think it's best in breed, but it may have a difficult day tomorrow. In that case, maybe I would be looking to buy the dip if he comes out and he wakes up and he's in a bad mood for the day. All right. We also get BlackRock and Goldman Sachs tomorrow, a few other names tomorrow as earnings season is starting to pick up a little bit. Don't forget, so before I go into the positive, I want to talk a little bit about the negative. Nvidia down, I mean, down 1.1%, where a lot of the market is outperforming. And if you notice, the Qs were actually down today. SPY was up today. The small caps outperformed. They were up 1.1%. But after that rejection that we saw last week in Nvidia, this has not looked pretty good. I was in a trade, and I had to take it off because it broke into the value area. So again, the other thing, by the way, is I go over trades. I go over trades that worked well, and I go over trades that didn't work well, right? The folks that I see on Twitter, again, I won't go too far off on a tangent here, but just keep in mind these folks who are only tweeting about positive trades or, oh, this happened, of course. Those are your most insecure people and most insecure traders out there. It's not how it works, guys, especially in this market. You've got names going down, which we've been talking about for a while until today. You had many more names going down versus going up. So be realistic. The people who, the Twitter there's a lot of traders that provide a lot of good commentary and a lot of help, but there's also that are just really horrible in trying to basically sell you magic beans, that to think that all their trades work out positively when you know that they don't. So here's what this looks like. And yes, I'm concerned about this. Let's see if Taiwan Semiconductor, which reports on Thursday, if they could get this group going, because this is sideways, very much consolidating, failed breakout, failed breakdown. So for now, I'll watch to see if we get a better looking chart. Very, very sideways. All right, so let's talk about some positive things. All right, so what I really like this year is what's been going on in energy stocks. Now, FCG, this is the Nat Gas ETF, still sideways to me. But if you go through select charts, you're going to find that you've got some very good looking charts going on. I'm going to start with the one that I took off today. This is TRGP. Let me bring up the daily chart. Why did I take this off? Because I was just looking for a move out of the value area to the blue line, a virgin point of control. And what I did was I substituted into a couple other names. I went into this EXE. I mean, look at this. This is trending quite nicely today. Look at the volume on this. Bullish engulfing from yesterday. Didn't take out the day before. I'm also still in YPF. Right, this is the Argentina name. Again, Argentina having a little bit of problems. I actually took my Argentina trade off yesterday in my trading account. It actually bounced back a little bit today, but I decided just to take some profits in that. What else? What else? Just a number of names. Look at OKE. Right, this is right at the top of the value area for the month. Right, very good looking chart. Retook the 50-day moving average. ET. Right, this is Energy Transfer. So again, notice how many, so you could go through a lot of different names here and notice how many of these names are near or at 52-week highs. KMI made a 52-week high. So this looks, again, I don't want to say and again, this video, I'm not telling anybody what to do. I'm just showing you that these stocks are acting much better. How about 3M today? Right, this is another name that I've been watching. I tweeted about this yesterday. This is just starting to break higher. What about the aerospace? Right, so this is GE. Right, GE turned the corner. So if you could be patient with some of these names, if value is going to outperform, do you want to be in all growth names right now? Right, because it's starting to see some better things happen in this space. It's not to say that every name, right? Here's GEV, which again, like I said, I've been long. This was a nice setup. It acted very well in here where the rest of the market was going down, and it punched out to new highs. VST is another one, right? Made a new high today. Not bad. right? CLS, I tried to trade earlier on this. I bailed on it just because I don't want too much exposure right now, especially like, this is kind of involved in power and so forth. And I already have GEV on and I have VST on. What about Tesla today, right? Heard a lot about call buying today. How did it do today? Not well, right? That open was around the highs. I got on this name today. I reduced it. So it's a small position. So basically I can watch it. We'll see if it wants to do something. But I heard a lot of that was Twitter was ablaze with all the call activity today. So I hope they know something. I hope it works out, but that's not good for today. That's a big reversal candle for today and back below the value area. So again, I think you really have to watch it with growth at this point. It looks like it's just consolidating. And again, we, if you're watch my videos, you know that I've talked about maybe tech in some of these areas coming in before earnings is not a bad idea. I would rather have this group down a little bit before all these names report earnings, and then it's a higher bar to jump over. So I'll leave it there for now. I'm going to talk about a couple other names that I mentioned yesterday. HWM. Really nice move today. This was up 3.9% today, right? So I've been talking a lot about this aerospace group. Very nice move. Setup was there. I'll bring up my watch list for today as well. Second. Right, Allison transmission. So why do I have something like that on my watch list? Right. Well, it's because I was going through my earnings list. I compile, every quarter, and I'll be doing it this quarter as well. Names that perform, names that are doing, had great earnings, either an earnings gap or really strong earnings, and I put them on a list and I go through them. And I said, hey, this ALSN looks pretty good, right? And that's this kind of leave you with this chart. But again, just open to some other names, right? Look at that nice pop above the 50-day moving average, right? Had strong earnings, came in, filled the gap, the earnings gap, and or filled this gap. I guess that's the election gap. Here's the earnings gap, but came back into that gap and or that gap up and held nicely and moving higher again. So I'll leave it there, guys. We'll see what the CPI report gives us tomorrow, and we'll go from there. Have a great night, everybody.